Tommy and Drimna, is the new dream team any two from McCarthy, Kerr, Stephen Kenny, Robbie Keane? Well, we'll play the interview we've recorded with Brian Kerr, and it's safe to say John Delaney will not be offering him the job anytime soon. Now does this end, lads? Niall Quinn, FAI CEO, Brian Kerr, Head of Youth Development, Lee Carsley, Under-21 Manager, Big Mick or Kenny as Manager, says Kev. Fran O'Connor on Facebook. Kerr should be back in the Irish fold, put him in charge of youth development along with Carsley, have a younger manager to grow with the players. John Spillane, get Big Sam in. Big Sam has been linked with the job.
Yeah, I've heard that as well mentioned today.
Is that not just going to be more of the same? Like the people who want that dream team there of Niall Quinn, CEO, of all these people who have Ireland and Irish football right down to grassroots level at their heart. Like Sam Allardyce ain't the man for that.
He'll get them organised. He'll get them to Euro 2020.
I think that is the problem, isn't it? Or not the problem, that is the priority now, isn't it? This is what it's almost like. I would still feel that Stephen Kenny would be an excellent appointment, but I'd see that as a long-term appointment. The priority in this next appointment now is get the results quickly from March. It's not necessarily saying we are going to actually go and play beautiful football straight away in March and start to actually build. We might have to build towards that and write off a campaign when we simply cannot write off this campaign because the priority is the games in Dublin. We have to be playing in those games at the Aviva Stadium in 2020.
So you feel Stephen Kenny is too much of a risk for this campaign, is that what you're saying?
Again,
you're allowed to give your opinion.
No, I'm looking at... I wouldn't be adverse to Stephen Kenny taking the job. But I think at this moment in time, given the position that they're in, I think that if the results started to go wrong or were adverse straight away, then we'd be looking at it and saying he's not up to the job. Straight away we'd have an ill feeling. I think Stephen Kenny, we could be building for something for him over the next 4 or 5 years, because I think he would have the brain. I think he would have certainly the tactical nous. He would certainly get the best out of the players that he would have at his disposal.
So are you saying Kenny, yes, but for this campaign, get tried and trusted, less of a punt, get to Euro 2020, make the 10 to 15 million euro, play those games in Dublin, and then maybe Kenny comes in.
Maybe.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I am saying that. I think that's the best way to do it.
But there's no such thing as long-term in football. Saying that Stephen Kenny can come in at some stage for 4 or 5 years. In fairness to John Delaney, if it's all going to pot, he can't turn around and go, we're planning for the future here. Fans still want to see the national team performing right now. And if it's Mick McCarthy who gets the gig and it starts slowly, everyone's going to go, he's yesterday's man. Yeah. Why have we gone back to him?
But it's more of an impact manager. It's certainly more of an impact manager.
How do you know?
Mick McCarthy. Of course it would be.
Stephen Kenny, we don't know.
Because I'll tell you immediately now, the players would immediately, a majority of the players that's playing over in England won't necessarily know a thing about Stephen Kenny.
Who?
Well, I'm telling you now, all the players that have been playing Premier League football, they won't be keeping an eye on League of Ireland. They wouldn't be keeping an eye on what Stephen Kenny is.
Shane Duffy wouldn't know what Stephen...
He would know. He'd know a little bit, but he'd know Mick McCarthy. Mick McCarthy walks into a dressing room, Mick McCarthy, and he'd be like, right, I'm in awe of Mick McCarthy. More in awe, I'm telling you. I think he'd get a more
Shane Duffy, Seamus Coleman, the senior players, David Myler.
So I'd think that. That's the way I would think, yeah. I do think that. I think Mick McCarthy, and I think Mick McCarthy would get a response off the pitch rather than actually what Stephen Kenny's going to give them on the pitch. Stephen Kenny might be more tactically aware on the training ground. He might actually bring a lot more to the players with what they're going to do on the pitch. But I think if you're looking for an immediate response and you're looking for someone that's going to walk into a room and command a room straight away, Mick McCarthy does that.
So you think there will be, in certain players' minds, not an anti-League of Ireland bias, but a sense that, who is this guy? I don't know him. Well, do you think that'd be an issue?
But there is an anti-League of Ireland bias anyway.
Yeah.
There is.
Yeah.
There is. That's a fact. From
half this squad have come through the League of Ireland.
For supporters that watch Ireland, who I've spoken to over the time anyway.
No chance. If Stephen Kenny comes in, the amount of goodwill that is going to be there, because something that is lacking and has lacked under Martin O'Neill is the actual grassroots. The people who are out coaching teams feel no connection with what happens with the senior team. Now that'll bring another pressure for Stephen Kenny, because everyone feels they own a little piece of him, and actually it probably doesn't matter, because the senior international manager ain't going to be down in Bushy Park on a Friday or Saturday night.
Right, so
but they will feel a connection. And if he gets that job, the response that's going to be there from Irish supporters next March, next June for the home games,
whoever gets the job's going to get a response from Irish supporters. Whoever gets the Irish jobs, we're going to get support for the manager anyway straight away.
But who are these players that wouldn't respect them? Callum O'Dowda, Aidan O'Brien.
I never said wouldn't respect them. I said if you're looking for an immediate response for a manager when he walks in the dressing room or walks into the building, Mick McCarthy would immediately grab you more than Stephen Kenny. I am telling you right now that would be the case.
Did Brian Kerr suffer a little bit with that?
Yes he did. And it kills me to say, because I've got so much respect for him. What he brought to me with I think he took my performances to another level. But there was an element of that around the dressing room. Yes, there was.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to hear that. I would think any Premier League or Championship player, even if they've come through the League of Ireland, but particularly those who hadn't, would be
Callum O'Dowda,
iffy about a League of
Callum
Ireland.
O'Dowda and Harry Arter and lads that have grown up in England will not know who Stephen Kenny is. I'm telling you that right now. I'm telling you now, they will not know who he is. They would have heard his name mentioned. They were always manager of Dundalk. Won't know a thing about him. They will not know a thing about him. Or English-born lads will not know a thing about him.
And what do they know about Mick McCarthy?
Well, they know that Mick.
What? That he was sacked by Ipswich?
What? But that's. Well, you can throw that out. You can throw that out. You can say, well, Stephen Kenny's been sacked by Dunfermline.
But
that's
Mick
what
McCarthy's. I wouldn't have a problem with Mick McCarthy getting the job. I'm just saying that suddenly we're judging it on what Harry Arter and Callum O'Dowda think.
But this is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying to you. I think Robbie Brady be in the same boat. I think Jeff Hendrick be in the same boat. They'll be getting word filtered through them, but they won't know a thing about him. It's not been disrespectful to him in any way, but that's a fact. It's a fact. They will. I'm telling you. Most of our lads, when Brian would have got the job, when Brian Kerr came into the job, we would have known that, yes, he's managed League of Ireland, he managed at St Pat's, he's done great things with our youth football, but it still would have come in and Brian Kerr, right, show us what you've got. Whereas Mick McCarthy comes into a dressing room and it's Mick McCarthy. That is a fact. That's exactly how it is.
I think you're overestimating the relevance of Mick McCarthy to these younger Irish players.
Well, again, I'm from a different era, of course. I'm from the next generation above. But that would have still been the case with Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane taking that job as well. It would have still been, wow, it's Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane.
Yeah, but Martin O'Neill was a couple of years out of being a Premier League manager. Roy Keane is the biggest star in Irish sport.
Yeah, but all the lads would have been watching Sunderland, would have been watching Ipswich, would have been watching Wolves over the last 10 years and seeing that Mick McCarthy has been coaching in the Premier League and at Championship level. He will be so visible because the lads won't be watching any RTE over in England. They won't be watching any Air Sports. They won't be watching any of that. They'll be watching Sky Sports, seeing Mick McCarthy being interviewed on Sky Sports, so he's visible and they will know exactly who he is.
Or they walk into training for the first week having had 3 or 4 years of a lack of preparation and go, wow, this guy's different. Stephen Kenny, actually, he's meticulous in his preparation. I'm going to give this guy a chance.
That is my point, isn't it? I'm saying to you then, Stephen Kenny then produces what he's going to do on the training ground. But I'm saying to you, if you're looking for an immediate response, that when you're going out, you're actually looking for Stephen Kenny to impress you on the training ground with what he's done, rather than actually being impressed by actually just Mick McCarthy and his presence being there for you. That's the way it would be. And that would be the same with Sam Allardyce. It would be the same if Sam Allardyce were to take the job. It would be the same if Chris Hughton were to take the job. They wouldn't necessarily have to go and impress them with the very first session that they put on or the second session that they put on. It wouldn't necessarily be the case. It would be they're immediately known to all these players. Whereas, and again, Stephen Kenny is in the same boat as Michael O'Neill when he took the job. He's exactly the same position now where he is. If Stephen Kenny goes on to achieve half of what Michael O'Neill has achieved, brilliant. That would be unbelievable. It would be amazing. And I think potentially he's got maybe the mindset or certainly the tools to do what Michael O'Neill has done. But Michael O'Neill, it took time as well. It did take time.
Yeah, I just think you're overstating the relevance of Mick McCarthy in comparison to Chris Hughton, who'll never take the job right now, and Sam Allardyce.
Well, if we're casting the net out, we're saying, yes, Chris Hughton should be in the frame for the job. I would love...
Oh, I'd give Chris Hughton the job tomorrow, but there's no way in hell you're leaving the Brighton job to take this gig.
Of course he's not. Of course he's not. But I would love Lee Carsey to be involved at some stage as well. We've got one of the brightest minds, one of the best coaches over there coaching over in England at the moment. I would love him to be involved. Whether or not he will be, I don't know. But this is what I'm saying to you. This is what I'm saying to you. Again, Stephen Kenny could be incredible for us, and I would hope, I think he would do a very, very good job for us. But I think he's still got difficulties within the squad immediately taking over. That's all I'm saying.